Each September, the United Nations General Assembly convenes in New York City. You've seen the speeches from New York. And on the sidelines of the General Assembly, AJC organizes dozens of meetings with world leaders. And that's what we have coined AJC Diplomatic Marathon. Well, as the global advocacy organization for the Jewish people, our experts from all over the world used their meetings to focus on 4 top priorities. Number 1, bring every one of the 101 hostages still in Gaza home. Number 2, defend Israel's right to defend itself from the terror of Hamas, of Hezbollah, of all the other Iranian-backed terror groups. 3, stand up to Iran's destabilizing activities in the region and around the world and their growing nuclear program. And 4, we have urged every country to take strong action to counter the alarming rise in anti-Semitism around the world.
I'm hopeful that when we reach the day after, and this war ends and the hostages, of course, are liberated, and we can start with a new governing structure in Gaza, no longer in the control of the Hamas terrorist organization. When we get to that point, and when there's also peace on Israel's northern front, and the 60,000 plus Israelis who have been forced to leave their homes because of the attacks by Hezbollah, when we get to that day after, we will again return to the process of expanding the circle of Arab-Israeli peace that began in 2020 with the Abraham Accords.
Anti-Semitism started in Europe already more than 2 decades ago. So for over the past 2 decades, AJC in Europe has been working with leaders across the world, and in particular in Europe, to combat anti-Semitism. We have educated them in particular about the new form of anti-Semitism, which is Israel-related anti-Semitism, as well as all other different forms of anti-Semitism. We have worked with them to establish national action plans. We have worked with leaders to create specific positions, commissioners to work on anti-Semitism in different European countries, as well as within the EU context. And today, in particular, since October 7th, when anti-Semitism has really exploded on the continent, we want to make sure that anti-Semitism is a priority for all leaders across the European continent.
Containing Iran is a key priority for AJC. In Brussels, we have helped convince the European Parliament to demand that the IRGC should be listed as a terror organization and that Hezbollah should be listed in its entirety as well. And these were some of the key points that we raised with our European interlocutors during dozens of meetings during the diplomatic marathon in New York.
Building relationships takes time, and having relationships with world leaders that can then produce the kind of important and sometimes difficult conversations that we've had with them, that's how progress is achieved. And if we want to build a better world for Israel and the Jewish people, then these are the rooms that we need to be in. These are the rooms that we'll continue to be in, because at AJC, this is the key work that we do. Standing up for Israel and the Jewish people with leaders from every part of the world, every day of the year.